address the Council's committee. The topic under discussion is the most important in the history of our species. We face a stunningly severe existential risk that is routinely ignored or downplayed by governments, corporate media, and paid climate scientists. I'm Guy McPherson, Professor Emeritus of Conservation Biology at the University of Arizona. I began my tenure at that university in 1989. I was granted tenure and promoted to associate professor and then promoted to a full professor earlier than is customary. I'm one of the relatively few people in history to achieve the status of full professor before turning 40 years of age. My lengthy resume is replete with scholarly publications, including dozens of peer-reviewed journal articles, the gold standard by which the process of science creates reliable knowledge. I received the highest awards given by each of the two transdisciplinary colleges at the University of Arizona, and I was granted the honor of emeritus status upon declining further paychecks from the university at the young age of 49 years. To stave off boredom during these 2 decades, I also served as a faculty member at the University of California, Berkeley, Southern Utah University, and the tiny liberal arts school, Grinnell College. But this isn't about me. We are meeting here to discuss the most important topic in human history. I left active service in the academy more than a decade ago to set an example. I stepped away from the monetary system, which I knew was driving anthropogenic climate change, and also the worst of the mass extinction events on Earth. I hoped that many people would follow my lead as I lived off-grid in a straw bale house, secured my water supply with 2 solar pumps and a hand pump, grew a vast majority of my food, defecated in a bucket, and contributed to the creation of a decent human community. These actions seemed like great sacrifices at the individual level. They did not produce the desired outcome, in part because the sacrifices did not scale up to the level of society. We are in the midst of abrupt, irreversible climate change. We are in the midst of the 6th mass extinction on Earth. As a result of these 2 ongoing phenomena, we are faced with near-term human extinction. Earth is currently at the highest global average temperature experienced by Homo sapiens. There is no known technology to reduce the global average temperature. We seem intent upon raising the global average temperature until all habitat is gone for humans and many other species. There are several paths by which we could abruptly lose habitat for humans throughout the world. Habitat loss is already driving refugee crises in the Middle East, Northern Africa, the South Pacific, Central America, and even within the United States. The refugees attempting to cross the southern border of this country are not seeking a vacation at Disneyland. Rather, they are seeking a means of survival for themselves and their families. How should we act in the face of the greatest existential threat our species has ever encountered? The approach offered by Extinction Rebellion is to declare a climate emergency. This approach has been adopted by several governments around the world. It is a fine starting point. If declaring a planetary scale emergency is a starting point, what follows? Where do we go from here? If we are all going to die, and we are, then how shall we proceed as a society? If our species is going extinct in the near future, and it is, then how shall we proceed as a community? These are the 2 critical questions I pose to you today. These are the important questions I would like the Council and all of us to ponder during the coming days and weeks. How we respond to these questions defines our humanity. Is there a better measure of our character than how we face our individual death and the demise of our society? I'm here to ask these questions. Unlike Socrates, I'm here to do more than ask difficult questions. I will also propose a response. Before I reveal my response, I would like to read a short passage from Viktor Frankl's 1946 book, Man's Search for Meaning. Written shortly after Frankl was a prisoner of war in Nazi Germany, Man's Search for Meaning was published. It has inspired millions of people, including me.
So if you can just wrap up.
Thank you. Between a stimulus and a response, there is a space. In that space is the power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The last of human freedoms is to choose one's attitude in any set of circumstances, end quote. I would only add that we can choose not only our attitude, but also our actions. Each of us was born into settled living arrangements over which we have